My name is Emma, and the love of my life is Oliver. We have been friends for nearly 7 years and have been in love for over 4 years. Oliver is my ideal partner, kind, attractive, and financially stable, earning a decent income from his job. He has been a dedicated worker since the age of 15 and has no regrets about it. He is a true man who enjoys working hard to support his family. He grew up by the seaside, while I am from the capital. We got married 2 years after we met, just 1 month after we experienced our first love at the age of 19. My parents were very supportive, but his family was initially not thrilled about our arrangement. They accused me of luring him into marriage, even though I was a virgin and had no children. It is hard to understand how they could think of it as entrapment. I have also been working diligently, working at the hotel front desk since I was 17. On the other hand, Oliver had a previous relationship, maybe 2, but he only admits to 1. Why they blame everything on me? Despite the initial blame and some early hostility, they eventually accepted me as a member of the family, and we all found happiness and trust in each other's company. Oliver and I have been in love and married for nearly 4 years, and we are both very content. I am responsible for cooking for him and cleaning up, and I am eager to fulfill all his wishes, and I never refuse during our intimate moments, and we have found great happiness in each other. He is my ultimate wish in every way, and I could not ask for more. Now, things are starting to get complicated. I have been working at the hotel with a man named Doran, and it has been this way from the beginning. Doran, who is 32 years old, is in charge of the hotel's maintenance and cleaning work. Let me make it clear right now that I have no romantic desires or attraction towards Doran. Doran is just a kind-hearted person who has been through a tough time. He had a wife who deceived him and took his son away. A paternity blood test revealed that the son was not his biological offspring, exposing the affair and involving another man as the father. Doran is not only my friend but also liked by all my colleagues at the hotel, and he fell into deep despair after this heartbreaking event. He did not want to continue living and even took a few days off, which was unheard of in his 13 years of hotel work. Until this ordeal, he had never missed a day. I cared deeply for my friend and colleague, and to boost his confidence, I started talking to him at work and insisted that we have lunch together every day at noon with other colleagues in the break room or outside on the tables, chatting, enjoying the fresh air and sunshine. Doran felt that he had lost his manhood because of what his separated wife had done to him, and he thought that no woman would want him again, which brought him great pain once more. I told Doran that this was simply not true. I firmly believe that any woman would be lucky to have him as her partner. He is kind, gentle, a good provider, and a loving father to his son. I will share that part of the story later. In the past few weeks, conversations with Doran have given me an idea that I think I can help him regain his manhood while exploring a relationship with a different man, something I have never done before, apart from with my beloved Oliver. This will help me resolve the lingering questions in my heart. Then I planned when to propose my solution to Oliver and seek his approval. After cleaning up after dinner, I sat down to discuss with Oliver. I shared my thoughts and suggestions with him. His reaction was to burst into laughter, giving me a crazy and incredulous smile, thinking I was joking. I assured him that I was not joking and explained why I thought this would be an ideal solution for both Doran and me. I emphasized that he did not have to worry about Doran, as I had no desire or attraction towards him. Oliver became quite upset, stormed away angrily, and slammed the bedroom door shut. However, he did not lock the door, and I knew what he was trying to convey. To demonstrate my love and commitment, I took off all my clothes and walked into the bedroom. He could never resist me, just as I could never resist him, even after 4 years. I gave him everything he liked, and we lay in bed, making love and being happy, just as we always have. I waited a day and proposed my suggestion to Oliver again. I asked him if he had considered it and if he would give his blessing once more. He firmly said no and warned that if I continued, he would file for divorce and have no further communication or friendship with me. I acknowledged his position with a simple, "Okay," sat next to him watching a movie. Eventually, I treated him, and we spent that evening on the couch, still deeply in love with each other. During this time, I noticed Oliver was distant and preoccupied, and there were other things besides our intimate moments or the delicious meals I prepared. He often made hushed phone calls outside our apartment or in the spare room. My suspicions were aroused, but there was no clear sign. Days passed, and now it's Sunday. After attending religious services, Oliver planned to drive to the seaside for a 4-day trip with his family. They have an annual fishing tradition, and I have no problem with that. I understand that he needs his male bonding time to maintain his manhood and strength. Before he left, I proposed my suggestion again. Oliver seemed frustrated but replied, "Emma, you're an adult, I can't force you to do anything. If you want to be with another man, I can't stop you. I've expressed my feelings." I hugged, kissed, and thanked him for his understanding, but he looked at me strangely before getting in the car and driving away. Before Oliver left, he reminded me of what he had told me. I expressed my love for him and continued to send loving messages and text messages. That night, the next day, at lunch, I met Doran and shared my suggestion with him. He was very surprised and completely unexpected. He initially refused, saying he could not be in a relationship with a married woman. I explained that my husband disagreed but allowed it, and that's what I wanted. Doran spent the whole of Monday night considering my suggestion and couldn't sleep. When we met on Tuesday, he agreed, on the condition that both my husband and I were comfortable with it, emphasizing that there would be no emotional involvement, only physical acts. I assured him that I had no desire for him. He is a good person, but not someone I find attractive in any way. So, on Tuesday night, I went to Doran's place. It was a cozy little home, and we had that encounter. We used protection, no kissing or intimate gestures, just some physical contact in the act itself. It seemed to satisfy Doran quickly, and for me, it was just about ending my curiosity. It was not a memorable experience, it didn't mean anything to me, except for checking a box. That night, I sent a text message to my beloved Oliver, informing him that everything went well. I assured him that Doran's self-esteem had been restored, and I found the answer to my question. I emphasized that I would never be with another man, only him, my love Oliver. It is crucial that everyone understands that this was a purely physical encounter, with protection used, no emotional connection or love, unlike the intimate moments Oliver and I share. Let me clarify this for everyone. I chose to text Oliver because I was worried about his reaction, and he didn't respond that night. I had a sleepless night filled with worry. Fortunately, he replied the next morning, saying he would be coming home on Saturday instead of Friday. Although I didn't like the idea of him staying an extra 2 days, I was grateful for his understanding of the suggested encounter and for having his love. The next day, Doran and I had lunch together, and he expressed his gratitude for our encounter, as well as the help in regaining his confidence and self-esteem. He also shared that, despite not being the biological father, he had obtained 50% custody of his son through the courts. I celebrated the news with him and explained that now that we had achieved our purpose, there was no need for us to continue meeting alone for lunch or other gatherings. He thanked me and understood, assuring me that he was not a deceiving person. During this time, I continued to send loving messages and intimate photos of myself to my dear Oliver. However, his reception was poor, and his responses were few, mainly expressing his anticipation of seeing me on Saturday. I was filled with excitement and love, eagerly awaiting his return. Unfortunately, the story took a painful turn on Friday. After a long day at work and shopping for Oliver's favorite food, I returned home to a shocking scene. My apartment was empty, divorce papers were on the counter, and there was a note. I couldn't sleep that night, and the next day I decided to visit Oliver at his workplace. I learned that he had taken a job by the seaside and had specifically requested to work in that area. He is a skilled concrete worker, especially for someone his age. I asked the foreman to tell him I was there and that I loved him, and he said he would pass on the message. I was overwhelmed with sadness. It was unbearable, like experiencing death and loss. I confided in a friend and colleague about everything, and she couldn't believe my actions. She was the one who initially suggested the idea, and when I asked her, she said, "Yes, I mentioned it, but I never thought you would actually do it. It was just crazy girl talk." The next day, I took the bus to the harbor because I can't drive. I went to my in-laws' house, and although I wasn't welcome, they let me in and prepared a meal and coffee for me. I explained the misunderstanding and how much I deeply loved Oliver, and they were kind, but Oliver's mother told me he didn't want to see me again and suggested it would be best if I didn't contact him anymore. I expressed that I couldn't do that because he was my whole world. Oliver was working 100 kilometers away, and his family didn't welcome me to stay, so I had to take the bus back to my empty apartment. I cried the entire journey and continued to cry the whole night. I even had to take some time off the next day to recover. Now, I need your help to answer my question: how can I regain my husband's love and make up for this misunderstanding? Please, I'm not looking for judgment or criticism, as I've received plenty in previous posts with no useful advice or actions. What I'm seeking are practical steps to win back my man, the love of my life, because I can't go on like this. Thank you so much for your help. Update 1. Let me address some questions in this group. Yes, I believe in God and the sanctity of marriage, don't you? I have not been unfaithful to my beloved husband, and I would never engage in such behavior. Even suggesting it is quite bold. Yes, I consider myself a good girl. How many 24-year-old women have only been with one man and only had one other type of sexual encounter? I can tell you, none, unless they are nuns. I had no intention of having a relationship with Doran beyond a colleague, and I had no attraction or desire for him. Everything I did for him was out of the kindness of my heart. I am proud of helping him, and ultimately, it is God who will judge me, not any of you. No, I will not be with another man in the future, and perhaps you should ask your partner why not, because you don't want to hear the truth. No, I did not belittle or disrespect Oliver. You haven't seen my husband, so you cannot judge his manhood. I know him to be more of a man than anyone here. No, I have not disclosed this situation to my parents or other family members, but I am sure they would be proud that their daughter did the right thing. No, I am not interested in having sexual relations with anyone else in this group. Many of you seem to have bitter attitudes. Update 2. Well, I must provide another update. It's a rather unfortunate situation. It has been a whole month since I lost my husband, and I feel very empty and heartbroken. I have tried everything to contact him, but there has been no response. I even had to use someone else's phone to call him and leave heartfelt messages, but he seems to be screening calls and has never returned any. Despite pouring out my heart to him, I had Doran call Oliver and leave a message expressing gratitude for his kindness and how it saved Doran from a miserable life. Doran told Oliver that he sees him as a great person and will always be grateful for his actions, emphasizing that there is no love or interest between me and Emma. We are just colleagues. However, Oliver has not responded to any of these. I decided to confess my divorce to my parents and brother, but their reaction was far from what I expected. They were very angry with me, not seeing the good I did, only focusing on perceived infidelity. No matter how hard I tried to convince them it wasn't cheating but a selfless act, they remained unconvinced and expressed disgust towards me. They even suggested that I should go to confession every day for the next year. I believe it is ultimately God who will judge me, not people on earth, including my own family. Final update. Well, I didn't plan on coming back to this troublesome post, but some kind people asked for an update, so here it is. I really wish I could block all the bitter individuals in the comments. Let me tell you about my current situation. I am now living in our community hotel because my lease has expired, and I do not have the financial means to pay for rent in the capital. It's a nice place, but it's only a temporary solution. I could have lived with my parents, but I chose not to because they do not understand my point of view. Now, regarding the divorce, it is official, and it might be the fastest divorce in our country's history. It seems to be my luck, but at least I believe God will support me. The judge seemed quite traditional and did not seem to value women in today's world very much. He regarded my suggestion as merely infidelity, ignoring the fact that I had helped Doran regain his life. He simply said, "You can call it whatever you want, but this is cheating and a violation of your marriage." I tried to explain that my husband had given me permission, but when he asked my husband and his lawyer, they both denied it, saying no, Judge, he did not. Then he added that he had previously warned Emma that if she continued like this, he would divorce her. The judge turned to me, and after consulting with my legal representative, I confirmed that yes, Oliver did tell Emma this, and it was a true statement. The judge then asked, "So why did you continue your affair, knowing this?" My legal representative and I were caught off guard and had no response. The judge then said, "We don't need to answer this question because it is irrelevant to the outcome." He then officially granted Oliver the divorce, ending the marriage. As part of the ruling, he awarded me the equivalent of €6,000, about $7,000, which Oliver must pay within 90 days. Can you believe all this for only €6,000, for years of various forms of intimacy, cooking, cleaning, errands, and caring for a sick man? If I had done this work, it would have been over 200,000. I think I should have received €200,000 from Oliver. No, I did not. However, receiving only €6,000, come on people, why don't you value women's valuable contributions to marriage more? Can individuals in the comments section answer this question? This will be my last post here because I will not continue to argue with the unfriendly people in the comments section. I am just exhausted, and you are all unpleasant people. Instead, I will put all my time and energy into winning Oliver back next year. I left a message for him on his phone, letting him know that I will not date for at least a year, or possibly indefinitely, because I will wait patiently for him to come back. I told him he is always welcome to come to my new apartment, for any kind of affection, and provided my new address. I believe that one day I will hear a knock on the door, and there will be my dream boat Oliver, ready to embrace me with kisses. Then we will live happily, possibly with many children and daily affection. Merry Christmas to everyone, and I convey God's best wishes to all, including those who do not like me and themselves. Well, this is an interesting story. Now let's continue with another exciting story. Stay tuned and let's delve deeper. This incident took place 5 years ago, and I have not yet fully emotionally recovered. At that time, John was 31 years old, and my girlfriend Lisa was 29. We had been in a loving monogamous relationship for 3 years, or at least that's what I thought. We met at a cocktail reception at the local art gallery. Ironically, neither of us liked modern art, but we both went with friends, and we got along very well right away. We started casually dating and soon decided to commit to each other because the connection between us was undeniable. About a year into our relationship, Lisa proposed the idea of living together because she was eager to tack %. After ending the call with Lisa, I went through an emotional roller coaster, ranging from fear to excitement. However, the more I thought about it, the more I became happy at the prospect of becoming a father. That evening, on my drive home, I was overjoyed. When I arrived, I hugged and kissed Lisa, expressing my excitement, which made her equally happy. As the weeks passed, Lisa began to inquire about our marriage plans. I told her that I wasn't ready at the moment but suggested we consider it after the baby was born. She understood but continued to bring up the topic multiple times a week, emphasizing how much she wanted to be my wife and spend her life with me. Over the next few months, we dedicated ourselves to preparing for our child, transforming our spare bedroom into a top-notch nursery. I spared no expense on furniture and equipment, ensuring we were fully prepared for the arrival. Our lives were going so smoothly that when Lisa was 7 months pregnant, I took the opportunity to propose from the heart. I got down on one knee, and Lisa happily said, "Yes, yes, yes, I will marry you, John," over and over again. We were both ecstatic. I suggested we have a civil ceremony at the mayor's office the following month and then a reception after the baby was born, to which she enthusiastically agreed. We set a wedding date, but just a few days before the ceremony, our baby had other plans. Lisa went into labor, and we rushed to the hospital at 4 a.m. By 9 a.m., Lisa had given birth to a healthy baby boy. I was by Lisa's side, assisting in the delivery, and although the birth was relatively smooth, I couldn't help but immediately notice that the baby didn't look like me. He had black hair and a dark complexion, appearing to be of Hispanic descent. Both Lisa and I come from Nordic backgrounds in our extended families, with light hair and fair skin. There was no Hispanic heritage in either of our families. When the baby was placed in Lisa's arms, I looked at her face, and although she tried to remain calm, I could sense her shock at the baby's appearance. My heart was racing, but I managed to stay composed, pretending everything was normal. Lisa wanted me to hold the baby, and I did, with tears welling up in my eyes. Holding the baby, I felt an indescribable sadness, knowing it wasn't biologically mine. Despite my emotional turmoil, I handed the baby back to Lisa and mentioned I needed to go out and inform our parents of the exciting news. I walked to the waiting room, shared the news with them, and while they all went in to see Lisa and the baby, I said I needed a short walk to calm my nerves after all the excitement. I went to a small park area by a stream in the hospital grounds, where I broke down completely, crying uncontrollably. My world felt like it was falling apart around me. I knew I would lose my future wife and the baby I had hoped so much to have that day. I cried for about 30 minutes before my phone rang. It was my mom. She asked if I was alright, and I said I was. She then said, "I understand why you left." I confided in my mom that the baby wasn't mine. Her response was comforting, "Son, I know, and I will support you in whatever decision you make." With that assurance, I composed myself, went to the restroom to clean up, and then returned to the room. Upon re-entering the room, only Lisa, her parents, and my mom were there. The baby had been taken to the nursery, and Lisa was understandably exhausted from the birth. I suggested we all give Lisa some much-needed rest, and we left the room. Lisa asked if I could stay with her, and I gently replied, "Baby, you better rest and not talk." We all went to the cafeteria, where we spent a few hours while Lisa took a nap. After returning upstairs, I let her parents visit her first. After spending about half an hour with her, they conveyed that Lisa wanted me to stay with her, so I went in to comfort her. Lisa began to speak, expressing her happiness, and asked if I was also happy. I assured her that I was very happy that she and the baby were healthy. She noticed with concern, "You look a bit distant, is there a problem?" I replied, "We need to talk." She asked, "About what?" I replied, "About the baby." Confused, she asked, "What about the baby?" That was when I revealed to Lisa that the baby was clearly not mine. Defensively, she responded, "This is your baby, who else could it be?" I challenged her, "You tell me." She cried with tears in her eyes, and I let her cry for a while, but it was actually closer to 10 minutes. After she calmed down, I pressed her further about the father of the child. Through her tears, she admitted, "You are the father." I didn't accept that and insisted, "Lisa, please don't lie to me." She fell silent, staring straight ahead. Finally, she broke the silence and said, "I'm sorry, John, I was unfaithful to you, but I wanted you to be the father of the baby." I disregarded her plea and repeated my question, "Who is the father?" Reluctantly, she admitted, her ex-boyfriend, with whom she had been in a relationship for over 5 years, had come to the city 8 months ago, and they had a brief encounter in our apartment. I stood up and walked to the window, looking down at the traffic below. Lisa anxiously asked, "Is our relationship over?" I conveyed, "Yes, because I can't imagine trusting her again." She burst into tears, begging for another chance, but I firmly asserted that it was impossible. I insisted that she needed to tell our parents the situation immediately. Lisa tearfully pleaded with me again, but I simply repeated, "No." Then, I went out to find our parents, and when we entered the room, Lisa's father noticed her tear-streaked face and asked what was wrong. I asked everyone to sit down, and they all did. Then, I instructed Lisa, "Tell them what we just discussed." She was too emotional and couldn't speak through her tears. I then explained the situation to our parents, and all 3 of them began to cry, with Lisa's parents crying uncontrollably. I informed Lisa's parents that when she was discharged the next day, she would go home with them, and I would arrange to move all her personal belongings and the nursery we prepared to their house. Throughout the conversation, Lisa continued to cry uncontrollably. Then, I turned to my mom and said, "Mom, let's go." Lisa screamed, "John, please don't leave me. I love you, I'm sorry." We walked out the door, leaving her parents to comfort her. As we drove away from the hospital, Lisa called, begging, "John, please don't end our relationship like this." I replied, "Lisa, I didn't end our relationship, you did. The trust between us is forever broken, and the person I knew and loved is gone." Despite her continued pleading, I remained silent, and finally told her, "There's nothing more to say," then hung up the phone. The next morning, her father came with a van, and we loaded all of Lisa's belongings and the nursery into the vehicle. I accompanied him to their home, helped unload everything, and set up the nursery in one of their spare bedrooms. I broke down. Lisa's mother asked if there was any chance I would reconsider and give her daughter another chance. I politely explained that it was impossible because I could no longer fully trust Lisa, and I could never love a child fathered by another man. After that, Lisa relentlessly contacted me within a week, making over 100 phone calls and sending numerous text messages. She expressed her love and pleaded for another chance. Initially, she understood that I was unwilling to marry her and be the father of her child. Instead, she suggested that we continue dating as before. I chose not to respond, and eventually, the messages stopped. Undoubtedly, this was the most challenging period of my life. Although I had no intention of being a part of Lisa's or her son's life, I did consider buying him a beer when he turned 21. I wanted to express my gratitude for his early arrival, which prevented me from marrying his mother and further complicating my life. My parting advice to all men is to consider prenatal paternity testing with every pregnancy. It can save you a lot of time and heartache in the long run.